MotorWeek is made possible by Lucas Oil, Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper, and TireRack.com.
You know, there's been a lot written about the GM X car, and lately most of it hasn't been too good. That makes it harder to remember that when it came out, everybody said it was a milestone in American automotive design. At the time, we saw an array of sedans and hatchbacks that were full of modern front-drive technology. It looked so good on paper that all of GM's mainstay divisions got a copy. Out popped the Pontiac Phoenix, the Buick Skylark, and the Olds Omega. And they were led by the front-running Chevrolet Citation. But long before that first year's 1.1 million production was sold, problems for the roomy compact began to loom. There were complaints that they were difficult to service and that they had leaking transmissions and premature locking brakes. That last problem is still making the headlines. But that was the 1980 X car. Since then, there have been a lot of improvements, all embodied in the car you see here. This is the 1983 high-performance Chevrolet Citation X-11, and here are the details.
Let's give the best news first. The Citation X-11 is one of the finest handling front-wheel drive cars you can buy, right up there with the likes of the VW GTI and the Saab 900 Turbo. Heresy? Not at all. The power rack and pinion steering is quick and feels great. The stiffer springs and shocks of the X-11's F41 suspension package and optional Eagle GT tires mean flat and fast transits through the switchbacks. And there's never a fear that the lightly loaded rear end will come unstuck. The smoothness of the car's response actually reminds us, heresy again, of such rear-drive performers as the Camaro Z28 and maybe even BMW. Don't believe it? Then look at how effortlessly the X-11 takes a high-speed emergency maneuver, little twitch, and lots of confidence. We were only slightly less enthusiastic about acceleration. The X-11's power comes from the high-output version of Chevy's 2.8-liter V6. That means 135 horsepower, 20% more than the standard version. That yielded a very nice time of 17.5 seconds and a very healthy 80 miles per hour over the quarter mile. There is too wide of spacing between second and third and top gear, and a 5-speed would be a welcomed improvement. Still, we were very pleased with our on-ramp time to speed of only 9.2 seconds and 59 miles per hour over a 500-foot sprint. Other fine results included only 4.5 seconds to pass from 40 to 55 and a 0 to 60 run of 10.1 seconds. Truly, the X-11 could hold its own even against much more brawny competition. And speaking of holding power, despite early failures, the Citation now seems to have its braking problem solved, at least on the X-11. Halts from 55 were confidence building, good pedal pressure, no fade, and just a hint of rear wheel lockup and swing. Only 107 feet of pavement, on average, was needed to bring our 2,870-pound hatchback to a stop. But since no car is perfect, it would only be fair to point out the other side of the X-11 coin. The engine compartment is still cramped, and service of the V6's rear plugs still a nightmare. In addition, the air pump pulley wobbled off its mounting and through a belt. On the other hand, access to the oil filter is much better, as are the checkpoints for all the other bodily fluids. On the inside, more mixed blessings, although we generally think it's first rate. Comfortable, optional bucket seats provided good support and were only a little flat. The dash and door panels are covered in understated fabrics that continue the semi-serious tone of the car, and not even a hint of plastic wood anywhere. Other details include, again, an optional instrument cluster that's a model of design except for the overly small tachometer. One other small complaint, the climate controls and vertical radio are cramped, a design that's been corrected on other GM front-wheelers. But the businesslike console and long-throw shifter made power control fall neatly into hand, even if front-wheel intrusion means that the pedals are mounted too far to the right for comfortable driver operation. But for everybody else, there's plenty of room. First, the temporary spare is mounted under the large cargo floor, where it won't take up any additional space. And if you don't take advantage of the generous rear seat room and fold it flat, there's enough luggage space for several times our standard set of 4 bags. The X-11 is so roomy, it's more like a sports wagon than a hatchback. On the exterior, we can't fail to mention the slick-looking cast wheels, front air dam, and rear spoiler, or the fine quality of the body fit and paint finish. In our opinion, also comparable to the majority of competition, foreign or domestic. In normal living with the X-11, you'll also find more positives than negatives. Despite the stiffer suspension, the ride is smooth, plus quiet. We haven't seen many sporty cars with a sound level reading below the Citation 69 decibels at 55 miles per hour. But you do pay some penalty for all this fun in mileage. Although the EPA rates the X-11 at 21 city, 34 highway, we managed only 21 over our mostly urban 100-mile test loop. We did expect at least 25. However, in a sports-minded group such as ours, individual comments were bound to be most interesting.
You know, 15 years ago, the 327 Nova was king of the economy supercars. Now the X-11 is heir to that throne, and with its balance of handling and power, I'd call it son of supersport.
Obviously, we like the Citation X-11, despite a bevy of small faults. At around $10,000 for a reasonably equipped car, I still think its now slightly aged design is highly viable. And with similar high-performance versions offered by Pontiac, Buick, and Olds, it's clear that it will take more than a bit of bad press to extract the X car from our suburban hearts, minds, and carports.